What does it take to live past 110? You let that question settle for a moment. To wake up every morning with gratitude, with clarity, with a spark of purpose still glowing inside you. There's a quiet pause, the kind that makes you breathe a little deeper. And what if the man holding these answers once ran into burning buildings, not to be a hero, but simply because someone needed help? A retired firefighter, a man who spent his life saving others. And somehow managed to save enough of himself to reach an age most of us can hardly imagine. In a world that moves too fast, where days blur together and years slip by unnoticed. Stories like his remind you of what really keeps the human spirit alive. Not money. Not luck. Not perfect genetics. But something far more human. Far more reachable. Today, you're going to hear the quiet, powerful lessons of a 110-year-old American man. A man who carried people out of danger, who worked through smoke and flame, and who still found a way to laugh, to love, and to live with meaning long after the sirens stopped. You'll learn the simple habits that kept him strong and sharp for over a century, habits rooted in purpose, movement, connection, and gratitude. And by the end of this video, you'll discover which of his secrets are now backed by science. And which ones may surprise you enough to rethink your own life. But before we begin, I want you to join the conversation. Comment the word longevity if you believe age is just a number. And if you're ready for more stories and wisdom that celebrate a long, healthy, meaningful life. Go ahead and subscribe to Senior Health Wisdom. Your home for gentle guidance, real inspiration, and the kind of lessons that help you grow older with grace and heart. Let's begin with the first lesson he always returns to. The lesson he says kept him alive through the hardest years of his life. Purpose. Not comfort. Not ease. Not a perfect plan. Just purpose. He joined the Baltimore County Fire Department back in 1943, a young man stepping into a world filled with smoke, chaos, and split-second choices. He told me that from the very first day, he didn't think of himself as brave. He simply saw people who needed help, and he felt called to show up. And he did. Again and again. Through freezing nights. Long shifts, and moments that could have broken a weaker spirit. But here's the part that stays with me. He said he never once woke up without a reason to get out of bed. Not a single day. That simple truth carried him through more than 20 years of service, and more than 100 years of life. It gave his mind something to hold on to. Something steady. Something meaningful. Science now confirms what he learned long before the studies existed. Having a purpose keeps the brain active, resilient, and surprisingly young. It strengthens memory. It improves mood. It gives your body a reason to keep going, even when the years grow heavy. But many people misunderstand this. They think longevity is mostly luck, a genetic lottery you either win or lose. He never believed that. He would say, the body follows the direction of the spirit. Give it a mission, and it'll try its best to stay with you. Purpose doesn't always look dramatic. You don't need a uniform, or a heroic story. Sometimes purpose is as simple as being there for the people you love, tending your home with care, or waking up with a small goal that lifts your heart even a little. So today, I want to encourage you, gently, sincerely. Find one small purpose you can hold on to. A hobby that gives you joy. A routine that anchors your day. A person you check on. A reason to rise with intention. Because a life with purpose doesn't just add years. It adds strength to those years. And while purpose keeps the mind sharp and the spirit steady, it isn't the only secret he carried with him. There's another lesson he swears by. One most people overlook, even though it might be the simplest habit of all. Let's talk about that next. He often said that purpose kept his mind alive. But movement kept his body willing to follow. And he meant that literally. Even into his late 90s, long after most people would have slowed to a halt. He walked every single morning. Not fast. Not far. Just faithfully. Slow, steady, determined. The same way he once moved through smoke-filled hallways during emergency calls, decades before. He didn't walk to impress anyone. He didn't walk to stay in shape. He walked because he believed the body was meant to be used, gently, regularly, respectfully, the way you keep a good engine warm so it doesn't stall on you when you need it most. He told me, the day you stop moving is the day your body starts forgetting what it's supposed to do. And science agrees with him. Daily movement, even small amounts, isn't just about muscles. It strengthens your circulation. It protects your bones. It calms the nervous system. It keeps your emotions from sinking into places they don't need to go. But here's the mistake many people make. They think staying young requires heavy workouts, gyms, intense routines, complicated programs. He would smile and shake his head at that. In his words, you don't have to push hard. You just have to keep going. Simple, consistent movement, done with patience, not pressure, will always outperform the rare, intense bursts people promise themselves but never maintain. So if you're listening to this right now and thinking, I'm not strong enough. I'm too old. I don't know where to start. Let me offer you his advice. Start with 10 minutes. 10 minutes of walking. 10 minutes of light stretching. 10 minutes of lifting something small, a water bottle, a book, a grocery bag. Your body isn't asking for perfection. It's only asking to be remembered. Because when you move every day, you're sending a message to yourself. I'm still here. I'm still trying. I'm still alive in this body. And he believed that message mattered more than the movement itself. But as important as daily movement is, he always said it wasn't the reason he stayed joyful. His joy came from something deeper. Something emotional. Something that made his long life feel full, not just long. Let's explore that next. He used to say that movement kept his body going. But people, real, human connection, kept his spirit from shrinking. When he retired in 1964 and eventually moved to Florida, he could have chosen a quiet, isolated life. He could have stayed inside, kept to himself, and watched the world pass by. Many do. Especially after long careers filled with responsibility. But he didn't. Instead, he walked straight into the heart of community life. He joined local groups. He volunteered where he was needed. He checked on neighbors, even when he was the oldest person on the street. He made friends with people 50, 60, even 70 years younger than him. Because he believed age wasn't a boundary, just an experience. He never let loneliness settle in. Not for a day. And now, research proves what he understood intuitively. Connection is one of the strongest shields against dementia, depression, and cognitive decline. The brain stays sharper when you talk, listen, laugh, and share stories with others. The heart stays lighter when it feels seen. The soul feels safer when it belongs somewhere, even in small ways. But many seniors grow up believing independence means doing everything alone. That asking for company is a burden. That staying private protects their pride. He disagreed with that, completely. He believed the strongest people are the ones who keep reaching out. Who keep saying yes to invitations. Who keep showing up in places where they can be part of something bigger than themselves. So, I want to gently encourage you. Don't wait for connection to find you. Make the first move. Call one friend this week. Join one group, even if it's small or simple. Wave to a neighbor. Attend a local gathering. Let someone know they matter, because the act of reaching out heals both people involved. We are not meant to live life in silence. And the longest living people in the world all share this truth. They stay socially active, curious, and open. Not perfectly, but intentionally. Still, as powerful as connection is, There was one more trait that shaped his long, extraordinary life. A mindset he carried with him through fire, through loss, through aging, and through every unexpected twist a century can bring. Let's talk about that next. He had seen more of life than most of us can imagine. Wars that reshaped the world. Losses that left invisible scars. Decades of change, upheaval, and moments that could have hardened anyone's heart. And yet, he told me, softly, almost as if it were a secret. Gratitude kept me light inside. Not luck. Not comfort. Gratitude. He would wake up in the quiet of the morning and name 3 things he was thankful for. Something as simple as a cup of coffee, a cool breeze, the sound of birds outside his window. Small things. Ordinary things. But they carried weight when you let them sink in. Because here's what he understood long before anyone published a study about it. Long-term emotional health matters just as much as the strength in your legs, the clarity in your mind, or the rhythm of your heartbeat. The mind, like the body, needs exercise. But its exercise comes in noticing the good, appreciating the present, and giving thanks even when life isn't perfect. Most people believe happiness comes after success. After the promotion, the retirement, the achievement. But for the oldest Americans, for people who have seen a century of life unfold, happiness is a choice you make every single day. It's not something to chase, it's something to practice. So here's a simple, beautiful way to start. Begin your morning by naming 3 things you are grateful for. No one else needs to hear them. No one else needs to validate them. Just let your mind hold them, savor them, let them shine inside you. It rewires the brain, shifts perspective, and quietly strengthens the heart. And yet, even gratitude, even purpose, even movement, even connection. He told me there was one final lesson. One that surprises people the most. Because it has nothing to do with what we eat. Or how much we exercise. Or how early we wake up. It has everything to do with time. How we choose to spend it, cherish it, and let it shape the story of our lives. Let's explore that next. He often shook his head when he watched the world today. People rushing from one thing to the next. Checking phones before coffee is even finished. Always busy, always distracted, always chasing something just out of reach. He would say, softly, almost with a sigh. Rushing steals years from the mind and body. It ages you faster than time ever could. For him, living long wasn't about cramming more into a day. It was about savoring each moment, noticing the small, beautiful details. Moving at a pace that let the heart catch up with the mind. A simple walk in the morning. A quiet conversation over lunch. The laughter of grandchildren echoing through the room. This simplicity, this deliberate slowing down, isn't just poetry. Science now tells us that it lowers stress hormones, eases inflammation, and protects the heart and brain over decades. By living intentionally, by choosing less instead of more, he gave his body the space to heal, to breathe, to last. Many people think the most productive life is the busiest life. But he knew better. True longevity often comes from slowing down. From noticing the world. From being present enough to see the colors, hear the sounds, and feel the warmth of ordinary days. So here's what you can do, starting today. Simplify one area of your life this week. Maybe it's your schedule, let go of one unnecessary meeting or errand. Maybe it's your meals, savor fewer, better ingredients. Maybe it's your digital habits, allow yourself a block of quiet, uninterrupted time. Small acts of simplification are like little gifts you give yourself. Gifts that last decades. And when you weave together these habits, purpose, movement, connection, gratitude, and simplicity, you begin to see the patterns that shaped his century-long journey. But the deeper meaning behind these habits. The heart of why he lived so long, so fully. That's what we'll explore next. Living past 100 isn't just about surviving. It's not about counting birthdays or checking off years on a calendar. It's about continuing to love, even when it's hard. To forgive, even when it feels impossible. To serve, even when no one is watching. To laugh, even when the world seems heavy. It's about choosing life, every single day, and letting every moment have meaning. Aging isn't the loss of youth. It's the reward of a life lived with intention. Every hardship, every joy, every ordinary day. They all weave together into something richer than we could ever imagine. So, today, pick up your phone. Call someone you care about. Thank them. Tell them they matter. That simple act, that choice, carries more weight than any pill, any supplement, any routine. Because maybe, just maybe, the secret to a long life isn't found in medicine at all. It's found in the courage to stay kind, to stay hopeful, and to stay connected. In the quiet moments, in the love you give, in the gratitude you carry, that's where life stretches long and wide, full of meaning and warmth. Let's take a moment to look back at what he taught us. Purpose. Movement. Connection. Gratitude. Simplicity. These aren't just habits. They're lifelines. They're the threads that keep the world's longest living people thriving, day after day, year after year. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these habits will you start practicing today? Share your thoughts in the comments. I love learning from this community, and every story adds something special. And if this story inspired you, if you feel a little more hope, a little more motivation, or a little more curiosity about how to live well as you age, subscribe to Senior Health Wisdom. Here, you'll find real-life stories, senior wellness insights, and lessons in longevity that aren't just about living longer, but about living better. Thank you for being here, for listening with your heart, and for taking the time to reflect on what really matters. Stay curious. Stay kind. And may your days be long, healthy, and full of meaning.